It is 7:05, and I'm going to call the meeting of the September 15th Development Review Board to order. Let's see. I can't find my crib sheet. Oh, here it is. Okay, Robin, this applies mostly to you, okay? At the DRB, we hear applications for land development in the town of Brattleboro and appeals of zoning administrator decisions. Procedurally, the Development Review Board operates on the record. This means we take a clear record of testimony from the applicant and any interested parties, and then issue a written decision with our record, with our findings. Applicants and members of the public should be aware that as we are on the record, this is your opportunity to comment on and provide evidence relating to an application. In the event our decision is appealed to the environmental court, the court will not take or consider additional testimony at its hearing, but will look at evidence from our hearing, the regulations, and determine if the evidence supports the findings and the decision of this board. Only interested parties that participate in this proceeding may appeal a decision made by the board. So I strongly encourage all of you to speak up at this hearing. As we are on the record, we are going to ask that you affirm your testimony will be truthful. So, Robin, could you please affirm the following? I hereby affirm that the evidence I give in the cause under consideration shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth, under the pains and penalties of perjury.
Sorry, I do. Unmute.
Okay, applicants require a majority of the full board to succeed. That is 4 votes out of 7. If we do not have a full board present to hear your application, then we will consider a request to continue your application to the next public meeting. Robin, you can wait until after as the discussion gets going on yours, on your application, and then if you think we're going to vote against you, you can ask to be continued.
Okay.
After taking testimony, the board will close the public hearing and may vote on your application. The board will issue a written decision within 45 days of the close of the hearing. While we may vote on an application, it is the written decision that controls the timeline for appeal. It should be noted that the town of Brattleboro is a party with an interest in land development applications. The town does not have a special status before this board. Documents provided to the board by the town planning department, town attorney, or other town departments will be considered in exactly the same way as information from the applicant and all other interested parties. So can I have a motion to approve the minutes of, when was the last meeting? August 18th.
Motion to approve the minutes of August 18th.
Is there a
Second.
second? John, did you second?
Second, yes.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded that we approve the minutes of July 21st,
August.
August 21st, excuse me. August 18th, sorry. August 18th. All members of the board in favor, just raise your hand. There are so few of us.
Aye.
Okay, so that's 4-0 to approve the minutes. Okay, all interested parties took the oath. Brian, can you confirm that the meeting was properly warned?
Yes, it was.
Are there any conflicts of interest or ex parte communications? No. Okay. What I'm going to do, since the only person that's here to present their application is Robin Johnson for the Stone Church. So if it's okay with the rest of you, I'm going to move the agenda and do him first so that he can get on with the rest of his evening. Is that fair?
Sounds good.
Any
Yes.
objection? No? Okay. So we're going to take up case 2021-142. Robin Johnson for Delta Gamma LLC. And Robin, do you want to talk a little bit about your project?
Sure. I also have you need me to share my screen? Do you have any of
Sure.
the drawings? Here,
Yeah.
Oh, let's see. I'm getting it. Sorry, it's sending me to preferences.
That's okay. If I was gonna say, if you can't, then we probably have them and Steve Hayes can probably put them up.
Okay, yeah, if you have them and you can do it faster than
Steve,
me,
can you
I
do that?
talk about it.
Yes, let me locate them.
Okay, so we just had our first full capacity show since March of 2020 this past weekend, and we got a temporary permit to serve on the side lawn in front of the Grove Street facade. So what we did was we fenced off the lawn and keeping it back from the stone wall to avoid from people getting too close to the drop off. And we put our food cart along the south window and a little bar area in front of that, and a couple of pop-up tents. And that way we served food and alcohol outside and didn't allow any food and alcohol inside, primarily because we're doing a full 100% mask mandate indoors, mainly based on current COVID situation and also cooperating with agents and artists. So every show we book, we have, certain demands from the artists. And so what we did was we took kind of the most stringent protocols from all our fall programming and just applied that across the board for all our shows, just so things would be consistent with our staff and we weren't changing show to show. So staff and audience knew what we were doing. And the reason I don't see this going too long this year. I mean, we could potentially do this maybe till Halloween, but then, unless we want to build like an ice bar out there, we probably have to stop at some point. But we also don't know what the future of COVID really has in store for us. So having the option to spread people out and serve the food and alcohol outside and, keep them masked in the indoors in case there's further spikes or other variants down the line seems important to us, because without that, even with it, the sustainability is questionable, but without it, the sustainability is pretty much not possible.
Do we have pictures yet?
We're having some technical difficulties. I should be able to get it in a minute.
Maybe I can probably also drop them in the chat. Someone can put them up maybe.
Are they the same as the ones that got emailed to us?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
So if anyone doesn't have them, I think they should be in there now.
So while we're waiting to see if Steve can share a screen, just let me say, and Nora can chime in, that the Design Review Committee met last Thursday. And because the stone church, of course, is historic and is in a historic area. And we looked at the design and we discussed a number of things, including some safety issues. And we approved his design as it was presented. And because it was minimal and it was not permanent. So Robin, do you want to just explain the picture, the way?
Sure. Yeah, so these would actually be no dig black metal fence posts with black, or we talked about possibly black and white or color and white for safety purposes, poly rope between the posts, so it would be removable. My thought would be we would leave it in place while the weather was good until through the fall, and then remove it, before the seasons, before we get to winter. In the backside, I have those kind of high top tables we hadn't really set up yet. So what we ended up doing was, instead of having them stretched out, we had them in front of those first two windows underneath pop-up tents, because it's been raining every day here. And that big white block is kind of to represent our food cart. Also, I did, from the drawing, the fence appears to be closer to the wall. I gave it quite a bit more space away from the wall to avoid people just getting too close, especially since they're drinking and it's dark. And so it comes up actually at the top of that slant. If you look at the Main Street side, we brought it right up to the top of that first set of stairs. Oh yeah, can't see this.
You backed it off of the Main Street to just shy of where that sign is? Is that what it is?
Exactly, yeah. So right where that kind of straight line is, where it looks like it slants down, that like that straight line is about where the actual fence we put in was. Yeah. So it was a good 3 to 4 feet away from the wall.
So Robin, that looks like that's a little bit of a hill. That's why you backed it off there?
Yeah, well, we backed it off mainly just because it's, we don't want anyone close to the wall,
Yep. Okay. How about on the Grove Street side?
On the Grove Street side too, it is backed off further than the drawing. Because it's not a square lot, it kind of moves as you go towards Main Street and the elevation increases, we move it further in. Yeah, so right at the edge, it's pretty close to the wall, mainly because we need that space in case someone needs to access the handicap ramp. They would come off through there.
The round things up against the wall, are those like tables or?
Tables, yeah, that we just take in from inside and then we put them back in at the end of the night.
And that big gray thing over to the left, the big, white, gray.
Yeah,
thing.
that
That's the
represents
food
our
court.
food cart, yeah.
So can you talk about the lighting?
So the lighting is, I just sent Brian some specs for some architectural lighting that will be one fixture each at the base of those windows. So that'll provide some kind of nice uplighting for the building and some ambient lighting for the area. And then we also added just string lights ringing the bottom of the tents where people were drinking. So they were, so that seemed to provide adequate light. We didn't really have any problem with lighting on Saturday. out around that, but we could potentially put like day of show lighting in spots like along the ramp or when you get further from the tents, but we have no plans for any other permanent lighting fixtures not attached to the building. I think we also had like LED candles on each of the tables, providing some light. But all stuff that we can pack up and get out at the end of the day.
John, do you have any questions? No. Michael?
No,
Now, as I understand it, this expires next April,
Oh,
at the
next.
end of next April.
Oh,
So-
I thought it was a month long. But if
No,
it's-
we can consider
oh, okay.
doing it till next April.
Oh, I see.
Okay, and we can, maybe we can check in with you in the spring.
Mhm. Yeah.
and See how things are going.
Mhm. That's
I mean,
fine.
you can check in with planning,
Yep.
basically. And I would say that we could say that the lighting can be approved administratively.
Okay.
That's okay with the rest of the board. And that you do food and drink only when there's an event, and that only for a certain time before and after the event. Is that reasonable?
Well, we were hoping to be able to possibly serve food times when we didn't have events, because we're actually currently canceling a number of events for the fall due to different bands or different people just canceling due to COVID concerns. So right now we're looking at, at least half of our scheduled events kind of in the next coming season, probably getting canceled. So we wouldn't, like I said, we wouldn't be doing this into the winter at all, I can imagine. But we definitely, I think, benefit from being able to at least open our food cart at times during, since we've got a lot of tourist traffic in town. I think that's why on the temporary permit, I just requested hours of 12 to 11, but didn't, but certainly wouldn't be doing it every day.
I don't know, how does the board feel about that? I'm not sure that we're the right people to grant that. I don't know,
Yeah,
if it has to be the board,
it sounds like,
select board.
it sounds like setting up a food cart on a property in town is a different consideration than this temporary use, ancillary use to a venue inside the building, which is what we're reviewing.
John, the land use classification is actually just for serving alcohol or drinking place. So it's not actually attached to the entertainment. That nexus is really the town entertainment license. So you guys can kind of divorce the two issues, and you could have just approved the site plan for uses like the food truck.
Okay, and you're not gonna put up any, if you did just, not an event,
Mhm.
but you just did food, would
Right.
you put up additional signage? How would people know?
No, we wouldn't put up additional signage. No. Yeah, we would. I mean, we would. we would get the word out through our email list or social media and assume there'd be some walk-up traffic. Maybe we would talk to people at the various lawyers' office and banks and Richards Insurance, people that are right in the area, and let them know that that's an option, like a day or two of the week. But yeah, we wouldn't put up any sign, the only signage we have and want are just venue and event related.
And
I have a question. Would you be playing, recorded music out there during these non-event times or anything?
Yeah, we would probably have a bit of music if it's within the town limits. I mean, we wouldn't be playing anything too loud or past the ordinance time. But
well, what I'm concerned about is during the day,
Mhm.
if you have a food truck, like for lunch or something.
Yep.
I don't know how that will work. Excuse me, I've got a cat here. How people in the offices around there feel like music outside during office hours. That would be a concern. I was going to ask about noise and crowd control during events at night, but there's really nobody around to hear it, I guess.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we certainly don't need the music and certainly wouldn't, would have no problem removing it if it was causing any sort of disturbance. I don't think. It wouldn't be like live band sound. But
So you're gonna have a band music inside during the events.
yeah. So that'd be.
So you really,
sound.
so
Yeah.
the need to have music outside there is probably not, would kind of almost get in the way, wouldn't it?
Well, during the events, we would likely just run the feed so people can like know what's going on inside and know that, to keep in their mind that they're not out like just drinking at some outside patio, that they're at a concert and they should finish their drink and go back inside. That's what we did on Saturday. We just brought a speaker out and had the same feed that was in the venue from the soundboard. And I think that actually kind of, to me, it seemed like that helped the sound. Because sometimes if you even when we had shows before, people sitting out in front of the venue smoking get all chattery and it gets kind of loud. And it seemed like with the music from the inside playing, that made the overall sound outside not as chattery, not as loud. I don't know, but yeah, if there was no event playing, it would be much more subdued and it'd be background music, if anything.
So what does the board want to do? I think we first we want to approve or not approve the basic design. And then we want to make it a condition that it's understood that this is not permanent, right? we could make whatever we decide expire at the end of April next year, so that if you had early spring concerts, they would fall under this permit.
Mhm.
But anything after April 30th, you would have to come back.
Mhm.
If, depending upon the COVID, we all know it depends upon what's
Yeah.
going on with COVID and everything. And that,
Yeah, it's definitely a lot more work for us to
Yeah.
move everything in and out every day. So
yeah.
we'd be very happy to be behind the actual bar.
And I think as far as we're concerned, I don't know how anybody else feels about approving what's basically a food cart. I don't feel really comfortable in doing that myself. I'm just speaking for myself and not for the board. So I would put a condition on that it's restricted unless somebody else says it's okay, to when there are events there. Yeah,
That's something that actually could get administratively approved because they're considered pretty non-impactful.
food truck.
Yeah,
Okay, so we can say that we can make a condition that you seek administrative approval from the planning department for food and beverage service outside of when you have events.
Mhm.
And we should have some restriction on the hours before and after, particularly, I think, a time limit at the end.
Mhm.
Does anybody else have any other conditions they want to talk about or include? And I think we can take, unless somebody else has questions about the design, I think we can take that away, Steve. Does anybody else have any other conditions or?
Are we not approving, are we only approving things for the, during events?
Yes.
So we are, so the
And he
idea,
can, and he can seek administrative approval for the food truck thing.
so as far as music during, not during the events, that would fall under Brian? Is that,
yeah, I think that's reasonable. Yes.
So everything to do with the not food and beverage, music, whatever, during non-events, we would say administrative approval.
I'm good with that.
Okay, and then, so we're restricting to only when there's events. We think there should be an upper time limit. I don't know what your current time is, Robin.
We stopped at 11 p.m.
11 sounds reasonable to me. If we approve an upper limit of 11. And that what we're doing will run until April 30th next year.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Can I have a motion to approve his proposal with those conditions?
I would make that motion.
Okay. Second?
Second,
Okay. It's been moved and seconded that we approve your application with those conditions. And the understanding that you'll seek administrative approval for anything that you want to do outside of this.
Mhm.
Okay, all in favor, please raise your hand.
aye.
Aye.
Aye. So you got your 4 votes
Correct.
Yay.
and have a nice evening.
Great. Thanks. I appreciate it, everyone. Have a good rest of the meeting.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks.
Okay, so we'll go back to 2021-130, which is the Putney Road Inn. And Mr. Tokmakian is not here. And so we can deny the application because we continued it. And if he wants to apply again, he has to start over.
So if we deny it without
prejudice.
prejudice, what does
Yeah,
that mean?
without prejudice.
This says with prejudice.
Well, it should be without prejudice, I believe.
I think so.
Yeah,
So
So you-
if it's denied without prejudice, then he can come back with the same application. If it's denied with prejudice, then he'd have to make an altered application instead of bring the same one. So
oh,
without prejudice is definitely the most open for him.
so we want to, I don't know, do we want to deny it with prejudice or without? We had all those specific things we wanted him to do.
Which I'm fine with. I don't think he needs to pay another application fee. So that was my concern.
So you're saying without prejudice, but he has to come back with answers to our questions.
That would be my take, yeah.
And
Well,
I'm in agreement with that.
if he doesn't, if he doesn't give more data for us, we'll deny it again, I guess.
So is there a motion to deny 2021-130 without prejudice?
I'll make that so moved for me.
Seconded.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, John seconded. All in favor of approving the denial of the application without prejudice? Please signify by saying aye.
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 So 4-0. Okay, and this next one's a little complicated.
Yes.
Mr. Doubleday. And so I don't know whether, I don't think any of you, and I have only done this once, I believe, approve this as a sketch plan. And if we approve it as a sketch plan, then he has to come back and answer all the questions that we might have. Or we can continue it. I don't,
Is there any benefit to approving the sketch plan?
well, he's gonna have to, I guess not really, except that he would get a list of the things that we
So
Maya?
planning thinks are missing.
Maya?
But Brian, is there any reason why you couldn't tell him what's missing?
Sure, if you want me, direct me as the board to give him that list of requirements, that would be fine, and just continue it to the next meeting.
That sounds,
I feel more comfortable with that personally.
that sounds appropriate to me.
Yeah, me too. And for my main concern is that lot that's not the West River Trail lot, but the lot that looks like it's going to be someone's home eventually, that we
Yeah.
have that envelope. That's all that I'm really concerned about.
Yeah. And he hasn't shown us where it's gonna be or anything like that.
Right, right.
Okay, so is there a motion to continue 2021 139? Jason Doubleday to October 20th.
I would make that motion.
Okay, is there a second?
Second,
It's been moved and seconded that we continue Mr. Doubleday's application to October 20th. And I would add, we direct Brian to provide him with the list of things that the staff thinks are needed before we review the application. Is that an acceptable amendment to you guys?
yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay. All right, all in favor of continuing, please.
Aye.
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 Okay, 4-0. And are there any administrative matters? No? Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, all in favor of adjourning? Please.
Oh, you
Aye.
need a
Aye.
second, right?
No, not for a
Not for
motion to
adjourn. All right,
adjourn.
all right.
Okay, it's 7:42 and we are adjourned until October 20th.